Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim,
And I'm Jim.
and we're here to talk about racing.
First off, we're going back to MotoGP. Um, the weekly Marc Marquez victory update. He won again in Hungary. He's won the last 7, the sprints and the Grand Prix. So 14, the last 14 races in a row in MotoGP he's won. So I was looking up, what the record is. And they only count the Grand Prix, so officially this is only a 7-race winning streak. But the record for most consecutive wins is an old one, going back to Giacomo Agostini, who won 35 consecutive races between 1968 and 69. That's a lot of races.
That's a lot of winning.
And a little extension of that fun fact, there were 2 classes then, the 350 and the 500, and he raced both of them. And between 1968 and 71, in those 4 years, he won every race that he finished, which was 68 wins out of 72 races. He had 40 NFs.
So he really was wreckers or checkers.
Yes.
With an emphasis on the checkers.
But anyways, Marquez is solidly in third on the all-time wins list, behind Agostini and Valentino Rossi.
Huh. So the Italians are still the best.
They are.
Okay.
The Spaniards catching up, but who knows how long his dominance will last. He's been kind of hit or miss the last few years.
Well, he's hitting now.
He is.
All right, let's go to Daytona for the Xfinity Series. Qualifying was canceled due to the lightning in the area. Now, I didn't know this, but this whole lightning delay thing started because a fan got struck by lightning in a NASCAR race a decade or so ago. And that's when they started having the nothing can happen for 30 minutes after lightning.
Well,
I didn't know
reasonable.
that. I learned that from Denny Hamlin. Anyhow, so since qualifying was canceled, they have their little formula they use. It's like where you are in points weighs for a certain amount, and how you finish the last race weighs for a certain amount. So Mr. I fell off my car and broke my collarbone was on the pole. Now, we were kind of hoping he wouldn't race, and really he didn't. Conor Zilic was on the pole, but he dropped to the rear during the parade lap, and he was going to be subbed out. Parker Kligerman was going to hop in the car the first time they pitted, just to be safe. Dale Jr. even said right away, he said that it's not worth messing up the next 20 years of this kid's career for one race, so that's why they pulled him out, or were going to pull him out first chance they got. Then they had another 30-minute lightning delay. But the green flag finally flew with Sammy Smith, who moved up to have the pole position, and Sam Mayer on the front row. Then we got a caution for rain on lap 13, which was good for Zilic. He was able to come in, and it didn't matter if it was a slow pit or not. Well, they did the driver change to get Parker Kligerman in the car. And NASCAR just had him drive around under yellow for 9 laps in the rain until they decided to red flag the race and bring the cars in. So then they just sat around for an hour. Restart after the rain, it was still Mayer and Smith on the front row. They stayed 2x2 most of the stage. Taylor Gray got spun near the end of the stage. A couple other guys spun in the aftermath of it, but the only car receiving some noticeable damage was Carson Kvapil, and Sammy Smith ended up getting the Stage 1 win. Jesse Love and Parker Kligerman were on the front row for Stage 2. Parker got himself up there right quick now. And once again, they were side by side and caution free right until the end of the Stage 2 when Sammy Smith got spun and a few other guys spun in the aftermath, but really no damage again. There was not the big wreck that you're used to with these super speedways. Justin Allgaier got the Stage 2 win. And Austin Hill and Jesse Love started on the front row for Stage 3. There's a caution on the first lap as our boy Saucy Anthony Alfredo, who was doing really good. He was battling up front that whole race. He was a top 10 car all day long. He lost power. It just shut off. He couldn't get it restarted and could not coast back to his pit. Having a rough year. I feel bad for the Sauce Man.
You know, just a side note, it's not relevant to this at all, but he's not the only driver named Saucy. There's a guy who races Le Mans and all the World Endurance stuff named Gregory Saucy. That's his actual name.
Interesting. So Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed were on the lead. The front row to lead them back to the green flag. There's a lot of side-by-side until the 11th lap, and Taylor Gray cut a tire and got into Jeremy Clements, which brought out the yellow. 6 laps to go. Ryan Sieg, who needs a win to get into the playoffs. Parker Kligerman, who didn't even start the race, are on the front row. And then things got stupid. I got to say it. All right, Ryan Sieg threw a bad block on Leland Honeyman while running third, and wrecked 11 other cars in the process, so we did get a big one. Green-white checkered. Parker Kligerman and Austin Hill led him to green, and Kligerman actually won the race.
And he didn't get DQ'd?
No, he did not get disqualified. Everybody else crashed. We never heard or saw a replay. There could be multiple casualties. Nobody ever said anything. There was just a giant wreck of everybody else, and that was that.
I only saw it live. My initial reaction, which I may have missed something, it looked like Nick Sanchez got a little loose from a push, and he went up high. And then it looked like Austin Hill went to make a third line, except Sanchez was already there, and so it was 4. And so to me, it looked like Austin Hill started the wreck, which
that would never happen.
He has been known to do in the recent past. Now that's just my first reaction on seeing the crash once for like half a second before they cut away from it and never showed it. So I could be totally wrong.
That's just weird that they didn't go back to it. But I guess it was such a big story that Parker Kligerman won the race. It's the second race he's won this year that hasn't counted, because he won the truck race at Daytona to start the year and was disqualified. And now he comes in as a reserve driver and wins a race at Daytona, and it doesn't count because Zilich was in the car to start the race. So the win goes to Zilich, but he did not get any playoff points or anything.
And I just want to add that last year when he was racing full-time in Xfinity and was leading at the white flag at the Roval, and then there was a crash, and then NASCAR decided, actually, even though you were past the white flag, we're going to do another lap because we don't like you.
I forgot about that
so
one.
In my book, Parker Kligerman has won 3 races. In NASCAR, he has won 0. But either way, nice job, Parker.
Good job, Parker Kligerman. I was happy to see him win. It was sad that he broke the flag when he tried to plant it in the infield, because he said he didn't want the trophy, he didn't want anything, he just wanted the flag, and then he broke it.
It was a really short stick.
That was a short stick. I was surprised, but I suppose you need that for the leverage, because you're waving that flag pretty hard when you're up in the flag stand, if they actually use the real flag. But anyhow, Parker Kligerman won. Good job, fella, even though you didn't really win in the history books.
Moving on to IMSA at VIR. It was just the GT classes. I didn't watch the race. I think it was on Sunday. I watched the highlight video. It looked like a good race. When they post the full thing on YouTube, which IMSA does, that's one of my favorite things about IMSA, is that they post full races on YouTube, usually about a week afterwards. So it's really nice, especially for endurance races. But anyways, the Dragon Speed Ferrari was on pole position again. They've been making a habit out of that. Been super quick over 1 lap.
Well, I mean, Dragon Speed, how can you be slow?
Well, that's assuming that all dragons travel at a elevated velocity.
Well, but it's Dragon Speed, so it's a speedy dragon.
Okay. One of the Vassar Sullivan Lexus cars was on pole in the GTD class. It was a standard 2 hour and 40-minute race. There were, I think, 25 cars or something like that. So a decent car count for just the two classes. And it being, the cars are all the same. It's just the driver skill levels are different for the class split there. The Paul Miller BMWs, they moved into first and second. Lap one, they got a really good jump. I know they reviewed the start because it looked like a couple of guys jumped, but eventually they found it was just timed perfectly. So those BMWs did pretty good there. The FAF Lamborghini, I just noted they were driving really aggressively once again. When we were at Road America, I noticed they were one of the worst offenders as far as driving standards. I don't think they got any penalties this race, but they made a couple pretty aggressive moves. I think it was Marco Mappelli in the car when that happened.
I would just like to make a note that it is National Dog Day, and that is why our dog was barking. Carry on.
Okay. And then a little unfortunate incident for Rexy. Got moved off the track by a Corvette. Wasn't really having a great race. Was in like 7th or 8th. And then that kind of made it worse. Lost all the progress they had. And it's hard to make up ground in the GTs. Just because the drivers are so equal in the cars. They do a really good job with the balance of performance. The first caution was for one of those leading BMWs, the 48. It was on fire during the final pit cycle. It was just a little fire. We're not really sure what it was, but the driver was able to get out of the car, and they got the fire put out and went back to green with 41 minutes left. Now, because that had happened during the final pit cycle, it shook up the order a little bit, and the Corvettes really capitalized on that. They restarted 1 and 2. And Windward Mercedes, that team, which is leading the championship in GTD, had gotten to the lead by that point in that class. And then another fire. After one lap of green, the Wayne Taylor Lamborghini, Danny Formal was driving. There was a huge fire. We saw multiple angles of it. It was really weird. I've never seen a car catch on fire like that before.
It's like the fitting broke at the fuel pump or something, because it was just basically pouring fire out the back of the car.
They said it was caused by a fuel system failure, so that probably was what happened. But yeah, just right before corner entry, all of a sudden the car was on fire, and it was a big fire. It was one of those you never like to see a car on fire, and that one was pretty scary. Luckily, Danny Formal was able to get out pretty quickly, and he gave a little update, which I'll read now. He said, "Everything that could go wrong went wrong, but then everything that could go right really went right. Really grateful, really thankful. God was with me for that one. He's got some burns on his lips and his cheeks in the facial area, but he says he's okay for the most part, and he will be back for the next race in a month. So glad that he's all right. And yeah, that was a bad incident.
Yeah, fire's never fun.
The rest of the race was pretty uneventful. They got like 20 more minutes of racing in. The number 3 Corvette won overall, and the Windward Mercedes, which is the 57, won the GTD. There are 2 more races on the IMSA calendar. Indianapolis in a month, and Road Atlanta, which I think is in November.
Indianapolis. Well, I know somebody who's going to that one.
I do too.
You. Right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to NASCAR and the unnamed Cup Series. William Byron had a penalty right off the bat here, which turned out to be meaningless. He failed tech as they were caught making unapproved adjustments, so his crew chief was kicked out for the race, and he had to start in the rear and serve a stop-and-go penalty.
I was told to ask you your thoughts on the penalty.
My thoughts on the penalty is that was some weak-ass shit penalty. Okay, a stop...
You heard it here first, folks.
A stop-and-go is nothing at a track like this. You know, as soon as the caution comes out, It's that early. He's going to be the first one to get the lucky dog. What they did, so they went through tech, they passed tech, and then they were making adjustments to the splitter after they had passed tech, and a NASCAR official saw them. I don't understand why it was such a weak penalty when, in the regular season, if you sneeze on the car wrong, you're out for your crew chief's out for 4 races, and yeah, I don't know. I just think that was really weak.
What do you think the penalty should have been?
I think they should have held him for 2 laps, so then he would have had to get the lucky dog twice. If I believed in the lucky dog, which I guess isn't the lucky dog anymore because that is also name listed as the free pass. I just think that was weak on NASCAR's part because it really turned out to not be a penalty at all. Once again, there was no qualifying due to lightning. So Ryan Blaney and Alex Bowman were on the front row. Blaney led. And unlike the Xfinity race, there was a lot of single file racing. I found that interesting. The Xfinity cars were side by side pretty much the entire length of the race. But the Cup cars were single file quite a bit. Interesting. I guess that's part of the problem with this new car is you have to run single file because of the way the air moves. I don't know. Anyhow, Blaney and Bowman started on the front row. Blaney led when they got single file. They lapped William Byron on lap 6, but as I said, it was a completely meaningless penalty. Casey Mears blew a right rear on lap 12 and spun.
That's a name I haven't heard in 15 years.
Yeah, he was in the 66 car. What's that? Carl Long, I think, owns it, and they pull it out once in a while. He was driving that car. And this is where the no practice, no qualifying, no nothing comes in. Because if you're blowing a right rear on lap 12, there was obviously an issue with the setup that could have been fixed if they would have had practice. But they don't practice on super speedways. And guess what? The yellow came out and Byron was back on the lead lap. So he had no penalty. Ryan Blaney got the lead on the restart. Todd Gilliland and Tyler Reddick got together. Reddick made some decent wall contact and the yellow flag flew again. They were able to get his car taped up pretty well. So he was able to continue. Gilliland really had no damage. On the restart, Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney were on the front row. Daniel Suarez actually grabbed the lead as they went single file, and then lap 28, we had the big one. Bubba Wallace. Yep, Bubba Wallace. Good old Bubba. Bubba Wallace, he says he didn't know they were 3 wide. It doesn't matter if you were 3 wide because he was on the outside and he came down across Joey Logano's nose. So whether you're 9 wide or 2 wide, you still came down and spun yourself off somebody's nose. But when you do that, when you're in the lead, you're going to cause a lot of shit to happen, and that's what happened. Chaos ensued. Ended up tearing up a dozen cars, knocking Alex Bowman out, which locked Tyler Reddick into the playoffs no matter what Reddick did. They had to red flag it to clean it up because it was such a mess. Thank you, Bubba Wallace. Daniel Suarez actually pitted from the lead since he was one of the guys who has to win no matter what. So stage points would do him no good in this current racing situation. There's a restart in the stage with 2 to go. Michael McDowell and Ryan Blaney. Man, he was up there the whole race, wasn't he? He led him to green, and then Kyle Larson got by them both and got the stage 1 win. Start off stage 2. Cody Ware and Brad Keselowski on the front row. I don't think those words have ever been uttered.
Cody Ware and front row don't normally go together.
You mark this spot on the tape. 1945. I said that Cody Ware and Brad Keselowski were on the front row. You don't hear this one either. Cody Ware led as they got single file. He led more laps at Daytona in this race than he has in his entire 9-year career combined. And I have to say that Arby's car, that looked really sweet. That was a nice looking car. I really liked it. So congratulations, Cody Ware, on looking like a race car driver this weekend. He led till Ty Dillon took the lead. When did that happen? Anyhow, Ross Chastain led some laps. Shane Van Gisbergen actually led some laps. Michael McDowell, Cody Ware again. Chase Briscoe, even Cole Custer all led. Before Carson Hocevar blew his engine with 13 to go in stage 2, which brought out the caution. Guess who's on the front row with 8 to go in stage 2?
Your buddy.
Oh, the guy who didn't really get a penalty. William Byron and Chase Elliott restarted on the front row with 8 to go. But Ross Chastain was able to actually get by both of them for the stage win. Starting off stage 3, Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher were on the front row. Buescher needed a win to get in. It stayed pretty much side by side. Then John Hunter Nemechek got up in there and he grabbed the lead. Then Denny Hamlin blew a tire on lap 109, brought out a caution. Denny Hamlin started going off on the radio, screaming at his crew when he blew his tire about, you guys don't know what you're doing. And dude, you blew a tire on lap 109. I don't get what his problem was, but he went full psycho there for a minute.
I mean, it was a night race. Maybe past his bedtime. He's getting up there in age.
He is old like me, I guess. Well, not as old as me. But anyhow, so restart. Joey Logano and Austin Dillon were out front. Oh no, what happens? No, Joey Logano can't be in the lead.
Joey Logano and the lead at a restrictor flight track. That is a scary thought, and it happens all the time.
Yeah, he's good until he gets up there. Anyhow, when they got single file, Logano had the lead, and him and Briscoe and Eric Jones swapped the lead back and forth a few times. Before Joey Logano'd, and he spun himself out with 12 laps to go while leading. It looks like he drifted up a little and then was afraid someone was going to get by him, so he turned it too hard to the left and just spun. So he spun himself with 12 to go, bringing out the caution. Restart with 8 to go. Justin Haley and Eric Jones were on the front row. Mark that, 22:55. I said Justin Haley and Eric Jones were on the front row.
Just a note, the time's not going to be the same when I edit out the beginning.
Well, okay.
So you don't have to say what the timestamp.
But it's fun to say that because I'm saying these record-breaking, once-in-a-lifetime things.
But Eric Jones has won 3 races in the Cup Series.
Ooh.
And he was in a really nice-looking car. It was like a Richard Petty throwback.
It was.
Scheme. I liked it.
It was a nice-looking, good old-fashioned Richard Petty 1970s car. So Eric Jones and Justin Haley were on the front row. Just save this whole recording.
Justin Haley has also won a Cup race, so that really isn't very remarkable. Two former winners.
But it is.
Justin Haley has won this Daytona night race before, so I don't agree with you on that. I'm going to have to disagree.
Can we agree on the Keselowski-Cody Ware one?
I mean, Keselowski is a NASCAR champion, but Cody Ware is.
Cody Ware.
So I'll give you 1 for 4. You're 25%.
You disappoint me, Junior. Anyhow, so Jones and Haley on the front row, side by side. Ryan Preece joined in the fight. Cole Custer joined in the fight. Ryan Blaney joined in the fight. This was good. They were 3-4 wide.
I thought they were going to wreck for like 10 laps.
And they didn't. They stayed off each other. Ryan Blaney won it. Second, third, and fourth were 3 wide right behind him. It was the closest finish between first and fourth in NASCAR history since they've had transponders and all the electronics to do it. 0.049 seconds between first and fourth. So blink and you miss it. And that was NASCAR.
I have to say, I was glad that Blaney won it. I know, you want people who don't deserve to be in the playoffs to win, but I just hate it, and I'm glad that one of those guys who didn't belong in the playoffs did not win.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
We will. But first, IndyCar, which neither of us watched.
Which was really sad because it was in Milwaukee.
It looked like a good race.
Yeah.
It looked entertaining at the Milwaukee Mile. Front row was Polo and David Malukas. I just have to say, Nolan Seagull crashed on lap 1 all by himself.
Yeah, he wasn't the best pick for McLaren, was he? Hey, at least they didn't have Jacob Abel. But Jacob Abel had a nice looking car. Miller Lite hopped on the car this year, just for this race being in Milwaukee, and they probably didn't get much TV time. But it was a nice looking car.
Yeah, I won't say. I've already said enough about Seagull. I don't think there's anything more you can say about him.
He's better than Jacob Abel.
I don't know that he is.
Oh, come on now.
Jacob Abel's slow, but he finishes races.
He's able to finish.
Yes, Seagull is in a much better car. He's got more experience, and he crashes by himself on lap 1. I could drive better.
I think you're pushing it.
I could have made it more than 1 lap.
You would have been going slower, I bet.
Well, if I finished 1 lap, I would have finished better than him. So.
True. I'll give you that.
Anyways, after that, David Malukas led some laps early on, but then it was just all Alex Palou. Looked like it was going to be another runaway win, story of the season for IndyCar. Scott McLaughlin moved into second place, and then Malukas had some pit stop problems. The right front wheel gun didn't work. They had to run over and get the backup. And then a caution came out, and he got stuck a lap down, so that kind of killed his race. He was doing well until that point. Polo was leading the whole time until there was a caution for rain, a little bit of a rain delay with 42 to go. It would have been, a pretty easy win for Polo. If it had stayed green, it gave the fans a little more excitement, I guess, to have a little bit of a restart. There was a little strategy. Some guys pitted for tires, notably both Ed Carpenter cars. That would be Christian Rasmussen and Alexander Rossi. They started towards the back of the top 10, but tires, they were really important because the leaders did not pit for tires. Rasmussen just drove right through the field. He passed for the lead with 15 to go. Looked like it was just a whole different class. Palou afterwards said that he wishes he had gotten tires, which I'm sure everybody, once they saw how well they were working, thought the same. But Christian Rasmussen got his first career win. I don't know the last time Ed Carpenter Racing won, so it was a good result for that team. Alex Palou finished second, and Scott McLaughlin, finally a podium for him in what's been a pretty bad year, finished in third place. And I just wanted to say, a couple weeks ago, we both agreed that IndyCar should have been talking about suspending Rasmussen for this race. So it's just kind of funny or ironic, I guess, that he ended up winning, getting his first career win, when we both would have suspended him for this race.
Yeah, who he deliberately wrecked.
Connor Daly, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Daly wasn't in the welcome party in Victory Lane. But, yeah.
All right. Now, since it's that time of year, we have to talk about the NASCAR playoffs. We talked about the trucks last week. Now Xfinity and Cup have their playoff lineups set.
Well, Xfinity doesn't. They have 2 more races.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because they run 1 fewer round because they start with 12 instead of 16.
Wow, how about that? You know more about round stuff than I do. Crazy. Well, we don't have to talk about Xfinity then. Let's talk about the Cup playoffs. Yeah, let's do that. So, Kyle Larson sitting first, William Byron second, Denny Hamlin third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Christopher Bell fifth, SVG sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, Chase Briscoe eighth. Bubba Wallace. I almost said Bubba Watson. I don't know why golf popped into my head. Uh, Bubba Wallace, 9th. Austin Cindric, 10th. Ross Chastain, 11th. Joey Logano, 12th. And then the last 4, Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. Now, this is where I hate the playoff system. 10th place, Chris Buescher, is not in the playoffs, which takes 16 cars. But 25th place in points, Shane Van Gisbergen is. And 26th place in points, Austin Dillon is. This is ridiculously lame. Now, if we look at the stats, Chris Buescher's average finish for the season was 14th. So he finished 10th in points, averaged 14th, and he's not in the playoffs. Shane Van Gisbergen, now don't jump down my throat. I like Shane Van Gisbergen.
Hey, I heard he's already won Rookie of the Year out of the 2 rookies.
I like the guy. I have no problem with SVG. I have a problem with the NASCAR playoff system. SVG is 25th in points and has an average finish of 21st, and that includes 4 wins. That's how bad he is on ovals. I'm not being a dick. I like him, but he can't drive ovals yet. Hopefully he learns. And 26th in points, Austin Dillon averaged 23rd place all season long. And he's in the playoffs. And Chris Buescher's not.
If every week was Richmond, he'd be first.
I have a problem with it. I've always had a problem with it, but when you just look at plain data, it just shows it's even dumber. I don't know. I could go on and on and on, but I won't.
We've got more to talk about.
And I'm not going to ask you. So, what more do we have to talk about?
Connor Zilic. He was announced as Trackhouse's
Connor Zilic
Cup driver next year.
Is going to be driving for Trackhouse next year.
In the Suarez car, right?
Yep, because Suarez is not coming back. I assume he's going to be in the Suarez car, unless he demands to be in the 88, since that was his number in Xfinity.
Well, I don't think he can just demand the 88.
I think he can demand whatever he wants, because anybody else would take him if they could.
Well, Hendrick's not going to sign him.
So good for Connor. I hope it's not too early.
I don't think it is. I think he's going to be a top 5 driver right away.
I think he's going to do well. I just always worry when kids are brought up so quick.
I mean, he's 19.
Yeah, when kids are brought up so quick.
He'll be 20 next year.
When kids are brought up so quick. So that always bothers me. And the worst kept secret in the world, not Dodge, Ram, announced that Colleague is going to field 5 Dodge Ram trucks starting next year in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Right off the bat, before we get into that, I just want to say 5 is too much for one team. It hasn't worked for Thor Sport at all. I think you're spreading the resources a little too thin.
But rumor is, from multiple high-up sources, is that Dodge Ram is paying for everything. So there's no resources to be spread too thin. It's an open checkbook from Dodge Ram. Whatever you want to call them. So it's going to be interesting as hell to see what they do. And speaking of interesting as hell, we've both decided to pick who we think are going to be the drivers for these 5 Dodge Ram trucks next year in the Truck Series. Now, who's going to go first?
I mean, you can go first.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pardon me, I have it on my telephone. So I
Kids
have to
these days with their technology.
I know me. I'm a screenager. All right. Here's who I think is going to be driving. Don't you look. Cheater. All right. I got Matt DiBenedetto. Good, solid driver. He's a little bit older. He's more mature.
So what, 31? Is
And
he
he's
driving in the Xfinity series right now? Or?
with a crappy team.
Yeah.
So
I didn't even know.
there's no reason for him not to drop down. If he gets an offer, I would give him an offer. I like the guy. He's a good human being from everything I can see. So he would be a good leader on this team.
He spends a lot of time in the weight room. You know, he breaks
He
the
does.
NASCAR stereotype of just the fat driver
That
in
dude
circles.
he is built. He is not Sheldon Creed, that's for sure. I'm no one to talk. I'm fat, so I can say whatever I want. Second, going along the same lines, solid, doesn't tear up equipment, would be a good leader in the locker room. I've got Parker Kligerman running full time in the Dodge. Kligerman and DiBenedetto so far. Kligerman could get a win that actually counted, perhaps.
So a couple old guys you got.
Couple old-ish guys. Yes.
Experienced.
Yes, experienced, young enough. They have the talent. This next one, I don't know if anybody would say. I've got Butterbean Queen coming out of ARCA and going into the trucks full-time in Dodge. Dude can drive. I can easily see him being Rookie of the Year in the trucks. I like Butterbean. I've got Connor Mozak moving over from that little one truck team he's on now.
McAnally Hilgerman, I think.
Yes. I see him moving over to Dodge and being successful. And my last one, just purely from a marketing standpoint and knowing that Dodge is writing a fat check, big market. No, not Checo Perez. Daniel Suarez. I've got Daniel Suarez.
I thought you were going to say Andres Perez.
No. I've got Daniel Suarez going down to the Truck Series because they will pay him because
he'll bring all his amigos.
That's the thing. I'm not. This isn't racism or anything like that. Mexicans are patriotic. Mexicans who live in Mexico love Mexico the way Americans who live in America used to be and still should be. They love their country. They love their drivers. Daniel Suarez would bring so many more fans.
Did I just hear you say that Americans should be more Mexican?
No, that's not what I said. I said that we should love our country the way that Mexicans who live in Mexico love their country.
Okay.
They are proud patriots, as we should be. Daniel Suarez would be a huge get. That would be tens of millions of fans. That would be a lot of trucks sold as Dodge is coming back to reality and putting V8 Hemis in everything. They're not doing the bullshit 4-cylinder twin turbo and calling it a work truck. You know, I think that would be a huge get. Would be Daniel Suarez. So my 5 drivers are Matty D, Parker Kligerman, Butterbean Queen, Connor Mozak, Daniel Suarez. No, I did not say Caden Honeycutt. I know that he was fired because he signed with a different manufacturer.
You think he's going to Tricon, don't you?
I think he is going to be in Corey Haim's truck, the Toyota for Tricon Garage, yes. And that is my 5 for the Dodge trucks. I mean Ram trucks.
All right, well, I only had one of the same. I agree with Mozak. I think he'll be going to Dodge. Bring some road course experience, some young talent.
Yeah. He's got the talent.
I do think that Caden Honeycutt will be driving for him. I don't know. I don't see him going to the Toyota. I don't see where Haim is going to go. There aren't really any.
He has to go somewhere. He's so dominant in the. I don't see Toyota leaving him in the Truck Series again?
I mean, I don't know. They get a bunch of easy wins. Go trophy hunting.
I don't think he'd be happy either. I don't think he's cup ready, but I see him being like in the 19 for Gibbs instead of it having being
The Eric Almirola car.
Right, the Almirola and Justin Bonsignor and the rotating car. I see him moving up to Xfinity and doing well. He ain't ready for cup.
Well, I haven't heard anything about what Corey Heim wants. So if Corey Heim, if you see this podcast, you want to, let us know what you think. We can invite you here.
I can message
talk.
his dad on Facebook and ask him. We're still friends from back in the day.
Anyways, so I think Caden Honeycutt will be driving for Dodge. I think he's going to be their number one driver, the guy they're trying to chase a championship with. I think to go along with that, I think Chandler Smith, he's going to move just because of the Colleague affiliation, because he recently dropped back down to the Truck Series. He had been driving for Colleague in the Xfinity Series. I know all the Colleague guys, they get along, and they have a good team there. So I think if he's got the chance, he'll move over to Colleague to drive the Dodge for him.
Along those thought lines, but I thought it would be too silly. I almost put AJ Allmendinger in a truck because
that would be pretty silly.
He has such a relationship with the Colleague team. I think if they asked him to, he would do it. But I just don't see it happening. But I almost put that down. That was almost on my list, was AJ Allmendinger dropping down to the trucks.
So yeah, I think that Chandler Smith is going to move from the front row team to the new Colleague Dodge team.
It's the Ram team. Ram.
I'll call it whatever I'd like to call it. When I think of Dodge and NASCAR, I don't remember very much because they went away early in my childhood. My last memories would have been Kurt Busch driving the 2 for Penske.
Yeah, the Penske Dodges.
That's the only time I remember Dodge being in NASCAR. Anyways, I think that the next driver I'm going to pick for my team, if I'm the team principal or whatever, Tanner Gray. He's currently is he driving for Toyota? He's in the 15, so. I think. I don't know. I think he's in a Tricon car, but he's not been doing too great. I don't know if it's because of the car, if he needs to change the scenery. He's put in some decent results, but he missed the playoffs. He's like an 11th or 12th place guy.
He is not his brother.
No.
I don't remember which one's older.
I thought they were twins.
Well, I don't think so. I think there's like 2 years between them. I don't know.
All I know is they're from New Mexico.
See, you know stuff like that, but you don't know how old they are?
Well, I think they're the only NASCAR drivers from New Mexico. Anyways, I think Tanner Gray is gonna have a little change of scenery, new manufacturer, try to, catch up to his brother. And then my last pick, I'm thinking Luke Fenhouse.
Oh.
He's had a few one-off rides in the 66 for, what do they call them? ThorSport. He's had some decent results. He's good on short tracks.
Had some crap results this year. Oh, all of ThorSport's been crap this year.
So you can't really judge it based on that because of how the team's been. So I think that Luke Fenhouse might be a surprise pick for that.
I would love to see it. I'd love to see another Wisconsin driver out there full time. But I like my list better. So, that's it, huh?
Yep.
You're going to have to write my list on your piece of paper.
All right, I'll write that down.
We can compare it and see how completely wrong we are. But yeah, Butterbean, definitely. That's almost my guarantee. I would go to Vegas and bet on Butterbean in a Dodge. Just seems right. So,
for legal purposes, that was not advice given on the podcast to anyone watching.
No, I'm not telling anyone to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-I-GAMBLE. This weekend, we've got Trucks and Cup at Darlington.
Yeah.
Xfinity apparently not in the playoffs yet.
Now they got 2 more races.
In Portland, IndyCar in Nashville on the Oval, I believe.
Yep.
But they're still calling it a Grand Prix, the Nashville Grand Prix, for the final race, which I believe is completely meaningless, isn't it?
Yeah, because Pato can't move from second. I think third place might change. I think Dixon and Lundgaard, either one of them could be third, but really it doesn't mean anything outside of third and fourth place in the championship.
So that'll be maybe interesting. At least it's on an oval where IndyCars belong. Haha, I said that just to annoy you. And Formula One, your wheelhouse, your guys are back in
From
action.
The second summer break.
The second summer break. That was the dumbest thing. They had like 3 weeks off, and then they raced once or twice.
I don't even remember.
And then they had another 4 weeks off. I now I get it. It's the worst schedule travel time if you're a human being. Period. It's insane. I think Formula One really needs to figure. They could cut the travel by 80%. I understand they don't want to group all 3 races in the United States week after week because you get people from all over the country going to Vegas, and then all over the country going to Coda, and then all over the country going to Miami. So you don't want to do that because the people just aren't going to show up.
Well, I mean, if you've got enough money to go to a Formula One race, you might as well go to all 3. I looked into,
but you're not going to do
Coda.
it 3 weeks in a row, is what I'm saying. The same people still go, but you're not going to go 3 weeks in a row because you've got to manage your hedge funds or whatever you're doing to have your money to be able to afford to go to a Formula One race. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You looked into tickets?
Yeah. Circuit of the Americas, cheapest ticket I could find one day was like $800.
And that was a one-day ticket?
Yes, that was a one-day ticket.
Cool. And you can't see anything because It's totally flat. Unless you go up on that big thingy. They got that big
the
thingy.
observation tower.
Yeah.
I know you'd love to go up there.
No,
watch the whole race.
I'm scared to death of heights. Do we have some news today from Formula One land?
Oh, we do.
I almost forgot.
Yeah, Cadillac, the new team, they've finally announced their driver lineup, the much anticipated, and we all knew who it was going to be. But
I am going to quote the worst governor that Wisconsin has had in a long time, Tony Evers, and I'm going to say I am jazzed as hell, folks, at this lineup.
I know you're a big fan of this lineup. Some very experienced drivers, some race winners. We got Checo Perez and Valtteri Bottas back in the paddock.
Yep.
16 race wins between them. They've both been teammates to multi-time world champions. They know what they're doing out there.
And just like Daniel Suarez, Checo is going to bring all the Mexicans with him. And it's going to be big. I don't think Cadillac could have picked 2 better people to start their program with. Both veterans who can perform, who are good people as far as we can tell, and I think it's a great choice for Cadillac for both Perez and Valtteri. Do you agree? Do you think they should have picked anyone else?
No, I think it was a good pick.
I know there were a lot of people.
There were a lot of rookies this year, so
they were screaming, Mick Schumacher. No,
the only
no good.
The only one who I might have thought about was Zhou Guanyu. He outperformed Valtteri last year, but when you're a new team, you want that veteran experience to give you feedback on the car to build it up for next year, especially with new regulations. You really have an opportunity to get on pace with some of the midfield teams. So I like the choice.
It's exciting. I'm so excited that Cadillac's going to be there. I know they're not going to have their own engines yet. They're going to be running Ferrari power. Is that right?
I don't know.
Just like Haas. So both American teams are going to be running Ferrari power. GM powertrains are going to be there. I believe in 2028 we're going to be running a Cadillac motor in the Cadillac. That's exciting as hell. I don't know. I'm patriotic. I should move to Mexico because I am a patriot of my country.
You would have been a big McLaren fan back in the day. They used to use Ford engines in the 80s. Yeah.
So anyway, that's all we got. We got Trucks and Cup at Darlington. That is going to be an interesting race. The Cup race is probably going to be the longest race of the year. I bet it's going to tickle the 4 hour long mark. Um, they have 12 sets of tires per car. I was doing some listening to Larry McReynolds and folks today, and they said that the asphalt has worn down to the point um, between lap 8 and 10 is when drivers are going to be crying for new tires. So there's going to be a lot of tire wear. There's going to be a lot of strategy. It is going to be long, but I think it's going to be a hell of a race. I sure hope I'm not wrong.
I might even watch it.
That's a long time to sit.
So if it's not good, it's on you.
It's Sunday night on Labor Day weekend. Back with the lady in black like you're supposed to be for a while. They went to California. That's not what you do on Labor Day weekend. That didn't sound right, but I wouldn't. I have no desire to go to California. But anyhow, so there should be some good racing with the trucks and Cup. I have no idea. Is this the same track that Portland Indy ran?
I think it is. It's a short road course.
Yeah.
NASCAR will probably run it in like a minute 10, minute 12.
So I don't know if that'll be interesting or not.
I mean, if Zilich's arm is all right, he'll win by a lot with no Cup guys there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough on a road course, though.
If his arm isn't feeling up to it, I think Sam Mayer will get the win.
And then IndyCar on an oval. So I'm sure you'll be all over that one. And our friends, it's back to the Sunday morning racing. Just like you had Saturday morning cartoons when you were little.
Well, 8 a.m. Sunday morning.
8 a.m. Sunday morning. They're racing in
the Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
It's Max's home race.
I know the Zandvoort part, but I couldn't remember where it was. I knew it was somewhere where they talk funny and the women are hot, but I couldn't remember the name of the country, Sweden or whatever.
They don't have a Swedish Grand Prix.
Norway?
No,
the Netherlands. It's all the same to me. Anyhow, is that all we got?
Yeah, that's everything for me.
All right, that's all we've got, and we'll have lots for you next week. Thanks for listening.